UFC 5. That's all.
Welcome to the EA Sports UFC 5 gameplay deep dive. My name is Marshall Mind, and today we'll be talking about some brand new features designed to deliver a whole new level of MMA authenticity and immersion to the game. We'll look at features like the
Shout out Marshall Mind, man. W guy. W guy.
real impact system, new striking animation
Not.
to the game.
Hold on a second. You almost got by me. You almost slipped by me. Anybody want to tell me the difference between UFC 4's grappling meter and HUD and all that and UFC 5's? Oh, wait, I'll do it for you. There is none. It's the exact same thing. And by the way, the defense systems are the exact same too. Post up an arm or move your head. Okay.
Impact system. Unlike previous games where injuries to the athletes were mainly superficial, UFC 5 introduces an innovative impact system that accurately reflects the physical toll the athlete undergoes during a match, which influences both the athlete's condition and the ultimate match results.
I'm gonna save my questions for later.
Another player. Every single time I
All right, Marshall, we get it. We understand, bro. It's very impactful.
Where bleeding could lead to visual impairment, like the brows, the eye, the forehead, etc. This leads to an increase in the...
I know there's doctor stoppages for cuts, but what about swelling? Like, can we swell somebody's eye shut? Or, like, what about the legs? Can I chop somebody's legs to the point where the doctor comes in and, like, you know, that's how the Jimmy Crute fight got stopped, so... Just a suggestion.
Against subsequent damage to the affected area, depending...
Does that mean Valentina's going to be in bantamweight? Because she's fighting Irene Aldana. I'm pretty sure Irene Aldana just fought at women's featherweight, if I'm not mistaken. Which would mean... I'm going to assume this is 135, though. I'm going to assume Aldana fights at both. But that means Valentina will be at bantamweight still. So they'll still have her at bantamweight. Which means that all the other times that fighters have been put in different weight classes, like we should still have middleweight and welterweight Kevin Holland. We should still have both for John Jones. Sean Strickland in welterweight would be nice, seeing as he was there once. Robert Whittaker at welterweight, even though he was a lot worse, would be nice to have at welterweight. A bunch of different fighters at different weight classes, you know? I want a multitude of fighters. And I want potential ones too, because I would like to be able to use Colby Covington at lightweight. Yeah, we've never seen it before, but they had John Jones at heavyweight before we ever saw it, so why can't they do that, you know? Just throw him in there, why not, you know?
And the health icons are also broken down into 3 different icons: the heart icon, the arm health icon, and the leg health icon.
The heart? Might be cooking, you might be cooking.
These icons authentically represents the effect a submission attempt can have on an athlete. The heart icon,
Never mind.
a chunk of their maximum stamina due to a deep choke. The goal here is to accurately represent how chokes, especially deep ones, can negatively affect an athlete's overall stamina. The arm health icon is meant to signal a loss in maximum block health.
Sorry, gotta
due to a deep arm
take my
submission.
screenshots.
Whether it's an armbar or a kimura, overextending the arm realistically leads to a reduction in blocking ability, and UFC 5 represents this authentically. The leg health icon signals a loss in permanent leg health when a player survives a deep leg lock. Leg locks, of course, are some of the most potent submissions an athlete can endure. So whether it's a deep heel hook or a calf slicer, surviving will not leave the athlete unscathed, and UFC 5 authentically represents this reality. The next thing we'll take a look at is Dr.
Dan Hooker with blonde hair. Who is that throwing that kick? Is that Edson? So weird. Look for Edson.
For the first time in the EA Sports UFC series, the doctor stoppage will now be another viable way for players to end a match. The doctor stoppage icon will appear initially as a result of any facial injury, not including injury to the mouth. At first, the icon appears yellow, but as subsequent impact is received on the affected area, the icon will appear...
Oh, great. We'll be able to get stuck in side control again. Yippee!
Here more red. The more red the icon becomes, the closer the ref is to halting the match briefly and requesting a doctor check. If the doctor examines the injury and determines it is not severe enough to warrant...
I can see this getting... Damn. I can see this getting turned off within like the first week or two for online mode. I can see it getting turned off because you're going to get a lot of like blowout fights where people are just getting doctor stoppages instead of like being able to finish the fight. On top of that, don't let somebody have like a 5-round fight and they're getting beat up for the first 2 to 3 rounds, and then the 5th round, 4th round come along and they're starting to find their way, starting to have a mad comeback, and it gets stopped in between the 4th and 5th round. That would be, boy, I can tell you now that's probably going to be taken out of online play within the first couple of weeks, if not like month.
A stoppage, he will exit the cage and the match will continue. However, if he examines the injury and determines that it is indeed significant enough, he will signal to the ref and the match will end. The introduction of doctor stoppages to UFC 5 is just another way that the game truly delivers an authentic mixed martial arts experience. But it also adds another layer to gameplay. Being defensively sound has never been more important, and because of this, there has been some significant enhancements to the core defensive tools in the game. Footwork, blocking, head movement, and lunges have...
Footwork? They're gliding around the octagon. There's not much footwork. And distance management, sure. But there's no footwork. It's all gliding.
All received significant upgrades, resulting in a substantial improvement in their reliability.
I mean, if you don't believe me, just look at their feet while they're moving around and throwing strikes. You'll see them just shifting around. There is no steps in between this. They're just gliding in and out.
Defensive maneuvers. Now, this is an area that a lot of players definitely complained about in UFC 4, right? Like, pressure is too strong, block breaking is too strong, being defensively sound in UFC 4 is not as easy as it's supposed to be. And don't get me wrong, in UFC 5, when you run into a player that knows exactly what they're doing, you can definitely still get run down with strikes. But as we start talking about these new defensive tools in UFC 5 and how they've been upgraded, how they've been buffed, once you master these and once you start using them as intended, you're going to notice you'll have a lot more success in UFC 5 than you did in UFC 4 when it comes to dealing with pressure and just overall aggression. In UFC 5, head movement in all directions is far more responsive. It is faster and it costs less stamina. In addition to that, the vulnerability incurred while using head movement has been reduced. Altogether,
why? Why would you reduce vulnerability while using head movement? Why? If you lean into something and get hit, you should definitely be stunned, knocked down, knocked out. Like, why would you reduce that?
these advancements collectively establish head movement as an even more potent defensive tool in UFC.
As you can see, you can block while moving your head too, so why would you reduce the damage for head movement and not just increase the blocking whenever you have your hands up? Having your hands up reduces the damage itself. Otherwise, why would you add blocking in while moving your head? What was the point? If you're just going to decrease the damage, why would I even swing at somebody who's moving their head now?
UFC 5. Lunges will now also cost less stamina as well as concede less vulnerability, which means players will be able to use them.
Why is Robert Whittaker full of hair? I like my Bobby Knuckles bald. I like him bald. I don't care if that's nitpicky.
More free athletes with low footwork stats will move slower. So if your goal is to operate from the outside,
no,
no, stat
no,
faster, and
no,
stats will move.
Oh my god, the clinches are still the same, bro. Best believe I'm playing stand and bang all day, every day, bro. I'm not touching any game mode where you can grapple. I have no reason to. There's no reason to grapple in this game. There's just none. Why would I ever want to be a high tier player when I have to face this, bro? Somebody can just reach out and grab your neck. Why would I want to deal with that, bro? Why? You're just going to get grabbed over and over. And they didn't change the clinches either. You're telling me the only type of clinch is just a tie clinch? No over-unders, no double-unders, none of that. It's just tie clinch. This fucking game, bro. I don't want to be here anymore.
Slower. So if your goal is to operate from the outside and be slick and run circles around your opponent,
I'm not gonna lie, bro. That just ruined my whole experience, bro. I don't even really care what they added into the game, bro. That just ruined my whole experience, bro.
this will be a much more viable strategy in UFC 5. Now, this topic of defense has always been a nagging issue in the EA Sports UFC community, and I really wanted to dive a bit deeper into this just in case I missed something, which is why I sat down with Yves Gomez, an EA Sports UFC developer who, by the way, used to be a game changer. Some of you probably already know who this is. He explained to us a little bit deeper in regards to what we've already talked about, right? With the head movement, the lunges, the locomotion.
All right, bro. This is a 21-minute video, bro.
There's a lot of players who had issues with the clinch, because let's be honest, man, it was a sore spot in UFC 4. A lot of those same players are going to be very curious. What was done? How was it improved? What changes are we going to see that will make our quality of life a lot better in UFC 5 in regards to the clinch?
If he doesn't say that it's different from last year, I don't want to hear, oh, we've improved this technologically advanced and superficial and artificial technological da-da-da. I don't want 5,000 words to tell me that you just made it look prettier. I want you to change the way it functions.
We did a few things. The main thing is that it is easier to prevent people from clinching you by striking them. This one frustrating thing is that, okay, you're gonna clinch me, I'm just gonna punch you out of it. But in UFC 4, almost always you would punch them and they will clinch you through it as an exchange. Any jab with straight will nullify a clinch attempt. Now.
Better. Still not what I was hoping to hear. There's an issue where somebody can get you right here, where you're backed up against the cage. I can leap either way, and they just clinch, and it'll still grab you. Especially if you jump towards their lead hand. I want that fixed. Because you can't just reach forward and grab me while I'm over fucking here. You can't do it. Not in real life. So why is it that when they get me in this position, they can just leap forward and grab me when I'm moving left or right? It just doesn't make sense, bro. It doesn't make sense. And if that's not fixed, then the clinch isn't fixed. That's the only issue. The only issue is the fact that you can spam it. It doesn't cost any stamina. And once you get them locked in that, you can now control the entire fight. You can throw all types of strikes. You can back them up to the cage, etc., etc. You can nullify somebody's game simply by clinching them and backing them up. And the clinch is very effective in real life. But that doesn't mean you get to spam it while eating uppercuts and hooks and knees to your body. Knees to the body is one of the things that stops people from trying to clinch you. And yet, they can just walk through it. Moving laterally stops people from trying to clinch you. And yet, they can just grab you. It's so dumb, bro. It's so dumb.
As you're trying to escape the clinch, for a specific window, they can't block when they're actually exiting, right? That is still possible, but it is harder to do now, and it is especially harder from the cage single under position. But the defensive striking the clinch is generally more powerful than it seems. The truth is that if people clinch you through your strike, you actually have the upper hand. If you continue to strike, it will take them out of what they're trying to do. Like you will.
But they can shoot a single leg or go for one of these trip takedowns. And now while I'm sitting here swinging, I'm using my stamina. I'm possibly eating strikes, which is lowering my head health or body health, and my block. And I can get taken down, which will also decrease my stamina. And now I'm on my back. Down stamina, health, block, and again, I've lost the position. Now the entire fight is swayed back the other way, simply off of pressing R1 square and just taking me down. It shouldn't be that effective, bro. This shouldn't be that big of an issue. A clinch should be a 50-50 position when I get to it. I should have to work to get to a position where I'm now in control. I should have to work to get to a Muay Thai clinch, just like UFC 2, just like UFC 3. I shouldn't just get a Muay Thai clinch. That's one of the best positions you can have in real life. It's the best offensive clinch position you can have. Oh, other than maybe a double underhook, I guess, if you're trying to take somebody down. But you have so much you can do out of a Muay Thai clinch. Why? Why is it so easy to get?
It will interrupt the knee that they try to throw you and stuff like that.
Now let's delve into what I consider to be the most exhilarating transformation in EA Sports UFC 5. The seamless submission mechanics. For the first time in EA Sports UFC history, submissions are now performed without relying on a minigame. In earlier iterations like UFC 4, triggering a submission, be it a joint lock or a chokehold, necessitated engaging in a minigame to secure or counter the move. This element was somewhat detached from the core grappling system. However, in UFC 5, this dynamic has been seamlessly integrated, making a groundbreaking evolution. Allow me to explain. Upon initiating a submission in UFC 5, for example, a guillotine, you'll have two choices. You can choose to force your opponent to submit by crossing both feet behind their back and squeezing, leading to a tap, or you can choose to advance to the mount, a more advantageous position. And although you gave up the submission, you secured another favorable position. As the attacker, the direction of your inputs will always remain the same regardless of the submission. Up to submit and down to advance to another dominant position.
So basically, you'll be able to pick between going up and down. One gives you a dominant position. The other one lowers the submission bar. Not the worst. I do see people spamming the shit out of this, so. If you're allowed to like feint and like cancel out, somebody's gonna feint one way or the other. They're gonna get really good at it. Or they're just gonna get the grapple advantage. And you're done. Which, depending on who they give it to, I feel like there should be an off your back kind of stat for guys like Charles Oliveira, Tony Ferguson, people that are good off of their back. Not just anybody. John Jones shouldn't be like his off his back stats shouldn't be that high, seeing as we've only seen him there like what, twice? Not very often we've seen John Jones on his back at all. So I don't think his stats should be high off of his back, but for the guys that are, I feel like this should be the easiest part of the game for them, going down here, which should make them open up striking wise. Because yeah, you can get countered, but you have the ability to go forward and throw basically whatever you want. Come forward, clinch, do whatever you want. You get taken down, you don't got to worry about it. That's just how I feel.
As the player who's defending, the directions of your
and elevators
will
are
also
good.
always remain the same, regardless. Depending on the strength of the submission, your athlete's submission defense stats, as well as your current stamina level, it might require as many as 3 submission attempts to completely deplete your submission health.
As many? You're telling me somebody can do it in 1 or 2?
And when that happens, the submission is instantaneous. It is important to note that despite this protective measure, one-shot submissions remain plausible in UFC 5. These occurrences are exceptional and typically happens when a player has severely mismanaged their stamina, granting the attacker a substantial
Or they try to escape and get denied, and their stamina gets cut in half. You know, that could happen too.
stamina advantage upon initiating the submission. When it comes to submissions in UFC 5, stamina is king, so make sure to manage yours. Contextual submissions have also been expanded in UFC 5. If you find yourself in side control and you try to escape to half guard by framing and bridging up, be careful because your opponent could very well counter that with an arm triangle. If you find yourself entangled in a rubber guard and you try to recover the full guard,
This is one of those positions I wanted to have altered too. In real life, I love rubber guard. I use rubber guard all the time in real life. So I like the fact that they've overhauled, I guess, in a way, the rubber guard and gave us more ways to submit somebody out of it. Because it's one of the most powerful positions you can have. Because there's no real offense. You can swing at somebody out of rubber guard, but you're just hurting yourself if you do. You really have to be patient in somebody's rubber guard and work your way out of it. And rushing it can get you tapped out pretty quickly. So I like the fact that that they changed this and gave us some submissions out of rubber guard, because I felt like rubber guard was literally just one of those positions that was just in the game to scare people. You could use it to get to a good position, and yeah, if you denied somebody, you could really do some damage with those elbows, but I'm not sure you could stop anybody out of that position, so you're really just doing damage or getting to a dominant position. And most of the time it'd be like 2 or 3 elbows where somebody escapes. So I like the fact that they changed it.
Also including high impact elbows to the head and body accurately captures the visceral reality of ground and pound.
Can somebody stop those elbows though? Because the only way you could really do that is to block, correct? Because in real life you would have to block the elbow to stop it from coming through. But does that mean elbows are back for ground fighters now? Is if there aren't, like, that just would make a lot of sense to only bring it back for ground and pound from top and postured up.
And unlike past iterations of the game, when you stop the opponent on the ground,
Huh.
the reaction they give you is believable. So we've talked about the
I like
brand
that.
new
I like
submission
that.
system.
The
We've
extra
talked
hits.
about
I like that.
contextual submissions. We've talked about the brand new ground and pound, but I'm sure a lot of people still have questions in regards to.
You did not talk about the brand new ground and pound. You just threw in the fact that they have elbows now from posture up. I need to know what about bottom guard? Can I throw elbows from there? Seeing as it's one of the best defenses when you're in bottom guard is to throw some elbows, cut your opponent open. There's still a lot more to go over in terms of new positions, new transition attempts, new escapes, all that. There's still a lot to go over. Or the elbows are the only thing they added, so maybe there's not a lot to go over. You know?
Ground.
Changes to the ground. So it was almost impossible to get to back mount and back flat positions, because when you're doing it, the people could just roll for free and end up in back sitting, which is a little less dominant for you. They cannot do that for free anymore. If they have a stamina advantage, they can do that just like in UFC 4. If they don't, they can't. So now there is a new contextual transition there for when you're trying to get back mount and they're trying to roll. It's a brand new result, and I won't say what it is, but it's not back sitting. Now it should be much more viable to get to the actual back mount and back flat and use the submissions from there, which are supposed to be very juicy, and they are.
With the real impact.
One eternity later.
What? You made it easier? You made it easier? You made it easier for people to get on my back? Who asked for that? Who asked for it? Who asked? Who sat in that sweaty ass, pit stain filled, dry shower head having ass Discord and asked to have their back taken easier? Who said, bro, I don't think my back got taken enough?
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Last game. I think we should make it easier for people to climb on top of me like a fucking jungle gym. I think it should be so much easier to get the most dominant position in the world. Y'all are trying me, bro. Y'all are trying me. Y'all are testing me hard.
Impact system, intuitive striking controls, improved defensive tools, and all new submission mechanics, EA Sports UFC 5 offers the most immersive, authentic, and exciting mixed martial arts.
Man, he just finna end this shit with a bunch of big words, bro. I don't care about none of that, bro. Nothing that was just said and improves anything, bro. It literally was just a bunch of big ass words, and I can sum up everything in this video for you. Cuts, draws, new submission system, elbows on the ground. That's it. Oh, don't forget, somebody can now get on your back so much easier now because everybody was asking for that, right? Where are the unique animations for fighters? The unique striking animations, the unique grappling animations. There are certain styles of takedowns that people have that you're not going to see in this game. There's certain animations like Islam doing his trip into full mount. That's probably not in the game. We didn't see it, even though this is a gameplay trailer reveal. On top of that, there's a new animation when you try to get back mount, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. Why? This is a gameplay trailer. This is what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be telling us how this shit works. It's a deep dive. For God. Y'all ready for UFC 4.5? Classic EA. Just throw in some things from other years that we wanted, that we liked. Then throw in some shit nobody asked for at all. and then update the graphics. Don't fix any of the problems. Just update the graphics. With that being said, man, I'm DJ, bro. I'm out.